Well, if you're watching this video at the time of this recording, we are sitting at around $101,000 per Bitcoin, with us falling down and wicking below $100,000 here at this marker at around $99,000. And this is the first time that we've fallen below this area since June of 2025. This is pretty significant, and there is a very, very good chance that we have topped here. This is something that I've brought up multiple times. I mean, if you guys watch the videos that I've been posting for these past couple of weeks, we were talking about this, I believe, around $120,000 per Bitcoin. And I could be wrong, but nonetheless, we were talking about a pullback and a potential top scenario that we could see with Bitcoin here. And I think that it's happening. Now, I'm going to go ahead, and the way this video is going to be structured, I'm going to give you guys a technical analysis perspective on Bitcoin. We're going to look at Ethereum, Solana, and then I'm just going to, in general, share my thoughts on altcoins, my personal opinions on those, and then we will go ahead and get ourselves eventually into some macroeconomic, two pieces of the macroeconomic landscape that we're currently looking at as far as its impact on cryptocurrency. Two big players right now. We'll be going over that, and I'll be ending the video essentially. That's pretty much going to be it. Really not too much to go over today besides, of course, updating on what just happened. There's no coins that I'm going to be recommending you to go buy. I don't think that that's going to be, I don't think right now is a good time, and I don't think it will be for a while. But we can definitely go ahead and get more so in focus on the short side of things, shorting a lot of these different coins, which I shorted Solana, as I had brought up yesterday. Literally, if you guys looked, we are up a good amount. We actually took our TP1 set stops to break even, and we might see this go all the way down to final TP at $65.50 before, of course, we have a big demand zone there. But nonetheless, yeah, the focus of the content going forward, we're going to just kind of update on the current market standing. We're going to go over current, technical analysis perspective. Then we'll dive into macroeconomics, geopolitical tensions. Then we'll share a bonus topic if the video allows for that. Technically, for this video, I'm not going to do something like that. But I guess we could go ahead and I could share with you guys a prop firm in which you guys can use. That is essentially what I use to trade. That's how I make money. When these coins go down and I short them, I make money that way. And so if you don't have access to a lot of capital up front, you can go ahead and use a prop firm. So that is potentially something we'll talk about as one of the avenues of actually making money in cryptocurrency, and describing a couple of resources that also come with that as well. But nonetheless, let's start off with our Bitcoin update from a technical analysis perspective and go over again my thoughts. We are currently sitting at a pretty big historical support level here. As you guys can see, we had marked this level out here. This is kind of where I drew my box into this big gray support zone, and this is exactly where we're facing significant support around that $100,000 per Bitcoin level. And so my thoughts on what we could potentially see next here is more movement down to potentially go and sweep this previous major swing low here at $98,226 per Bitcoin. And so when we sweep this, if we go ahead and close below this on the daily time frame, I think we're personally done. Most definitely done. Just as far as my personal opinion goes on there, we closed again below the 200 EMA on the daily time frame. The last time doing that was in April of 2025, and it was just a little bit ago. I think I'm bringing up Ethereum. But nonetheless, this was very recently. We had gone ahead and closed back below this, showing, of course, weakened buying pressure, sellers stepping in and completely pushing price down. Again, sweeping $100,000, falling below that. And again, the last time we did that was in June. And, this movement with June, though, was followed after a pretty good move up. The move up we've had recently, it's kind of just been pretty illiquid and honestly not too, if we were to see an immense pump here, bulls really have not been stepping into much. Sellers have been controlling the market here these past couple of weeks so far. for my opinion, of course. And again, like the scenarios that we had brought over, I think that personally, now that we're below like genuinely a lot of these key levels, like in 22 minutes, we're going to close below the lowest QVWAP band. I personally think that Bitcoin is going to continue to fall even lower here. And again, like this is something that I brought up. We had discussed this multiple time and time again, and I think this is a great example, whether, no matter how you're feeling right now in the markets, of why you should have multiple scenarios accounted for rather than, being so overly bullish that you get blindsided when a movement like this happens. So being prepared for every scenario to happen keeps you more prepared, and you're going to end up making more money, and you're going to end up losing a lot less rather than just banking on one scenario to go and happen. So I think that's a huge takeaway for a lot of people, is they're realizing that we did genuinely think that Q4 was going to be really good. We're not, of course, over. Q4 is not over. It's November 4th. We still have 2 months left pretty much, and who realistically knows, we could come up and hit a new all-time high, but the way things are looking, right, it just doesn't look good. And that's just my opinion. But the thing is, if let's say this is us going into a bear market here, the most important thing to just take away from this are all the lessons that have came through the cycle. But once you bank on a scenario happening, like Q4 is going to be great for cryptocurrency, and we're almost so certain that this is going to happen. Once the opposite of that happens, you're completely blindsided, you're not prepared, and in that event, more than likely, you're going to operate off of emotional decision making. So it's just, in general, never okay, in my opinion, if you're ever in this market, for me specifically, my rules are never to involve my emotions, never to only consider one scenario and bank on that scenario happening, because it's ultimately just going to lose you a lot of money. It's going to lose you a lot of money. It's going to make you want to quit and leave the markets. But once you consider more scenarios and you're prepared for every scenario, you actually end up making a lot more money, and it ends up going really well for you. But off of that side tangent, Bitcoin on the daily time frame still looks very, very bad, clearly in bear structure here. But nonetheless, again, what I am watching for personally is closes below this major swing low and this support level here. I think that if we do come and close below this area, that there is definitely going to be more downside that we are going to see. And if you guys remember on the weekly time frame, for those of you who've been watching this, when we've gone over the EMAs, we are rejecting currently off of this 50 weekly EMA. And I think this is what I was talking about. The last time we closed below this 50 weekly EMA was all the way in 2023. In 2023 of September, we were below the 50 weekly EMA. That was the last time. And so we have 5 days left with this candle forming. If this candle goes ahead and in these next 5 days closes below this 50 EMA on the weekly time frame, then this would be the first time in literally, what would that be? This would be the first time since September 2023, which is basically over 2 years now, in which we had closed below that level. I'm almost guaranteeing a bear market is followed by that. That is just my personal opinion. Obviously, we're sort of rejecting off of this level right now. We're above it currently, but we still have 5 days for this candle to go and develop. But nonetheless, on the weekly time frame, Bitcoin also does not look good. So again, my personal opinion is that we go ahead and close below this 50 EMA, and that is potentially where we go and see our bear market come. But as long as we're still above this weekly EMA, this 50 weekly EMA, I still think that there's a chance for minimal upside, but I am on the side of things where I think Bitcoin has topped. I think personally Bitcoin has topped. And what does that mean for Ethereum? What does that mean for altcoins? I don't know. We're going to honestly have to see. Altcoins have been responding very negatively to downside price action without a Bitcoin and Ethereum, but they've been responding pretty positively, or not too positively, to when Ethereum just hit a new all-time high at $5,000, around there per ETH. When Bitcoin's been hitting new all-time highs, They barely done anything in comparison to December 2024 when Ethereum was only at around $4,000 per Ethereum. So do you see my concern there? This is something we brought up literally every video. But for those of you who are just watching, that is one of my biggest concerns regarding the altcoin market currently, is the just an overall lack of strength. It seems a lot of people just really are not trusting the market right now to put money into altcoins. Like, I don't know what the case is, but nonetheless, it's been very concerning. And it's led me to really exit, previously these past couple of weeks and past couple of months, a lot of my spot, because I just am not banking on a Q4 bull run to continue where we see alts run. Like, I don't think an altcoin season is to be expected, but I'm also not going to be that guy who will sit here and tell you that that's not a possibility, because that would contradict what I've been saying. Right? It is still a possibility that we do see some sort of altcoin run where altcoins are doing good numbers, whether it be for a couple of days, a couple of weeks, a month, whatever the case is. It's still within our possibilities. We could see it come in Q1 of 2026 before a bear market. But nonetheless, I think Bitcoin's done here. Could it rebound and continue up? It definitely could, but I personally do not see that happening. So yeah, that's something that's very important to keep in mind. Now let's go over to Ethereum. But final notes on Bitcoin, I think more downside is to be expected. And I think we're in a bear market if we close below this 50 EMA, which we'll see in 5 days. If we close below that on the weekly time frame, I think we're in a bear market, or we've at least entered one per technical analysis perspective. ETH dipped all the way to almost $3,000 per ETH, around $3,050. Now, as you can see on the weekly time frame, we are trading below the 50 EMA on the weekly time frame, and we're also trading below the 20 EMA on the weekly time frame. Now, the last time we were trading below both of those was around here in June of 2025. So really not too much to worry about. If I have to just be honest with you, I'm not too worried about that. Now, if we go and close below this EMA, then maybe. But again, like even March, we were trading below this 200 weekly EMA. We have the 100 EMA as well here. So I'm not too concerned seeing us close below this 50 EMA. I don't think it matters that much. I think in general, ETH is done. I think ETH looks horrible here on the weekly time frame, looks horrible, even worse on the daily time frame. Ethereum's done, in my opinion, for this cycle. And so I don't know how alts are going to react to that, if I'm just going to be completely honest with you. Like, I think we're definitely coming down to revisit some of these levels. I think we definitely get a relief bounce here. Definitely at around $20 or $2,500 we get a relief bounce, potentially even here at $3,000. But personally, I still see more downside, and I think ETH is done. But does that mean it can't rebound? Does that mean it can't come back? Not one bit. I just personally don't see that happening, and that's the reality of the situation from my perspective. And so I don't know how alts will necessarily respond to that. So that is Ethereum. The next thing we're going to be talking about, we're just going over the big three. We have Solana. I had, again, like if you watch yesterday's video, I had gone over this short. Currently the stops are set to BE, and we took a small TP here at TP1. Obviously not really banking, but hoping for a nice move down here at $65 per SOL. But again, the DCA is taken out, so it's a risk-free trade now with a TP taken. But a pretty good entry, not gonna lie, off of Solana here. We could have technically gone ahead and entered off that 200 EMA closure, but we had just closed below that, a couple of days ago, so it wasn't anything too significant. I think Sol definitely is going to see more downside as well. Like, if I have to be completely honest, I think Sol is going to face pretty strong downside as well, even these next couple of weeks to however long this lasts. Weekly time frame, if we're looking at key indicators, again, that of the EMA, if we look at the 12 weekly EMA, about to close below that. Remember, we still have 5 days for all of these, and we recently, I guess when was the last time? Just recently in June, we closed below that 50 EMA. Kind of similar situation to that of Ethereum. Um, but if we come revisit this 200 EMA, which we have never closed below since it's just recently started to form due to, Sol's not been around as long as that of Bitcoin and Ethereum. If we do come and close below this would be the first time we'd ever have closed below that for Solana. And I think we would definitely see this final TP get hit and filled, and this trade would be the trade that hit full TP. But nonetheless, the whole gist that you probably are seeing from me talking about each of these coins, I expect more downside. I just genuinely do expect more downside for the entire market. I think the entire market is not in a good spot right now. But now let's talk about macroeconomics. We'll talk about quantitative tightening tomorrow. And then today, all I'm going to be going over, because we have not talked about it on the channel yet, we're going to specifically talk about the Trump-China tariffs that are currently going on, that whole ordeal. And then we, of course, what was the other thing? There's another thing. And I kind of had ChatGPT go ahead and sum it all up, of course. But no, the government shutdown, okay? So we have the government shutdown, and we have the U.S.-China trade and geopolitical tensions. So this is I wanted more of it just on this myself. As you guys can see here, this is, in terms of the government shutdown, this is tying or about to exceed the longest ever full government shutdown, which is kind of crazy. And this is rejection for the 14th time. That's actually insane. And yeah, I have my family has some flights booked this week, and there's a good chance that they could be potentially affected because of, again, parts of U.S. airspace may have to be shut if things don't improve. You have your furloughed workers. That's a big problem as well. There's a lot of things going on. And again, you can read here why this matters for crypto in the markets. When you have more political instability, higher risk off sentiment, investors may move out of risk assets into safe havens. Whatever that ends up being to them, start DCAing into S&P 500, start, getting bonds, whatever the case is, moving out of higher risk assets in times like this. So, again, we have a lot of other things, again, with macroeconomic data just not coming out. We're not really see too much going on in terms of other aspects as well. I personally, again, I don't think this is going to do really too much. People are banking on quantitative tightening. They're banking on, rate cuts to really fuel the rest of this run. I personally don't think that's going to really do much. I think we're already priced in. If I'm just giving my opinion, I think we're already priced in. And we're seeing technical analysis take the lead here, my personal opinion. But yeah, we have the U.S.-China trade and geopolitical tensions happening here. Again, this has been going on for who knows how long. We have, of course, a lot of AI influence here as well, the AI competition. And so, again, this is also tied into cryptocurrency. However, I don't think that really has big, with AI having its hand in cryptocurrency, I don't think that really matters too much. But in terms of, trade tensions being there with, China and the U.S., that, of course, the more aggressive they are essentially with all of this, the more the markets are really going to feel the pain. But realistically, these are the two big things. And again, you can pause and read this, or you can look into it yourself. They're not always going to be like this, by the way, where I just pull up a ChatGPT thing and go over a couple of notes. I'm working on a system in which I'll go and share with you guys actual articles and things of this nature because, come on, right? But I wanted to get this video out for you guys. Today's probably one of my busier days, so that's why I wanted to get this done. But yeah, those are the two biggest things. We'll go probably into quantitative tightening tomorrow and explain why people are so bullish on that. And we'll see what else we come out with. And then I guess tomorrow we will go over the prop firm account because I want to give you guys more time. I don't have any time right now to go ahead and give you guys the prop firm layout, what I've done, how you can implement that, a places where you can, go ahead and learn how to actually trade. I will dive into all of that tomorrow. Today, we're not going to be doing that. But I hope you guys enjoyed this market update, learned maybe something. And yeah, we are now going to be diving into, of course, November 5th when that time comes. But that's going to be it for me today, guys, and I'll see you later.